So now, 2 days in to no longer forcing food down like a gosh dang garbage disposal in the sink, I'm getting close to my flat weight. I don't think I'm there yet. It does take a little bit to reach a new, basically a new weight equilibrium, because as soon as I stop really chowing down on so much food, I am immediately going to lose some muscle glycogen, which is intramuscular sugar water, pretty much, which makes you big and full and strong. So I'm getting close to my flattest point. Probably the next few days I'll be, which as expected, of course it always hurts to see it, the scale just basically instantly drops 10 pounds, which, at this size, being only like a 4% drop in weight, I really don't notice it. Like walking around, I don't really feel 10 pounds lighter or anything, but that'll probably slow down in just about 2 or 3 days. So same thing with bulking up as well as dieting down. As soon as you restrict or overflow calorie wise, you're gonna have about a 3 to 4 day period, maybe even more like a week depending on how steep it is, where you have a very rapid spike or drop in your body weight. And then once you've reached that new baseline level of either fullness or flatness in the dieting context, then you actually start to meet a more stable drop, right? So I'm not going to expect pounds of body weight to just peel off my frame on a daily basis once I'm actually burning body fat. That's going to be more like probably pound, 2 pounds a week, and maybe closer to a pound, pound and a half. So that's 0.2 pounds of fat per day. That's about right. Now, every time I step on the scale in the morning, I'm not going to see my weight go, okay, 262, 261.8, 261.6, 261.4. It's not going to be so, so robotic as that. Because every day my water fluctuates, my the amount of food I still got in my stomach from the night before is going to bounce around. There really is no point looking at your weight on a day-by-day basis. But it is still worth tracking, because then once you zoom out from that daily up and down zigzag, you will start to see a real trend. So whenever anybody's talking to me like, okay, what should I be watching for, or how, what should I change to keep losing body fat if I hit a plateau? And that's where you should really just listen to the fucking scale. If if every week, I mean, if you do it every day too, that's pretty cool. But if even if every week you step on the scale at the same time in the morning, empty stomach after you went to the bathroom, and you haven't drank or ate anything, so that's your fasted, basically most consistent time to weigh yourself. If you do that every week, and then every week you're still that same 190, then if you're trying to diet down, like if you're actively putting an effort, like, okay, I'm trying to limit my calories, I'm trying not to snack as much. If you're gonna, I mean, it's just to put it as simply as possible, you're not meeting your goals. So that means all the effort that you're doing to try and, trying to lose body fat and lose weight and get leaner, it's just enough to stay the same. So what that should be is an indicator that you gotta step it up, man. Add some more cardio, reduce your carb, reduce your fat intake, to actually start tracking everything so you can have a really good grasp of it. It's a lot of questions, a lot of unknowns will suddenly be answered and easily understood once you start tracking your macros. Now, of course, there is some variability to it. Like when you look at the nutrient label on foods, they have I think they have maybe sorry about that. I think they've got like a 20% fluctuation in accuracy that they can still be, regulated by and not be like taken off the shelves. So yeah, I mean, there is some fluctuation to it, but it's not that crazy. And I've never noticed an issue. Like I've been tracking macros off of the labels of different foods this whole time I've been bulking up and cutting down. And every time I've done it, I've still been able to gain weight and lose weight. So I don't think it's so it's so off that that's some reason not to do it. But for the guys who, are looking for any excuse they can find to not track their macros, something like that is a big argument point. They're going to say, well, the macros aren't even accurate. So it's like, why would I waste my time tracking them? Dude, waste your time tracking them? You just don't want to put in the fucking effort to track them because it's a chore, which I'm not going to lie about it. It is a bit of a hassle. For somebody who doesn't count any calories to go from counting basically every macro of every meal that they eat, yeah, that's a bit of extra fucking work. But you get that not only peace of mind, but actually understanding of where you're headed gains wise, if that's what you're into, because now okay, I've been gaining a steady pound a week on average for the last 4 months, or no, for the last 2 months. But now my weight is slowed, not growing anymore. And then you can actually look at your calorie intake and say, okay, well, I've been eating a steady 3,200 calories on average for the last 2 months. I'm no longer gaining weight, so that means 3,200 is now my new maintenance. All right, if I want to start gaining some more pounds, let's up it to 3,500 calories a day, 3,600 calories a day. And that might seem minuscule. That's only a 10% increase, but that's enough to put that guy into continued and perpetuated growth. And then instead of having like a failed bulk where he's like, I'm half bulking, but he'll actually have some results at the end of it to look back on. And that's what kind of irks me the most, is the fact that there's a lot of guys out there where you guys come to the gym on the regular. You're lifting like 6 times a week consistently. You got pre-workout, you got your creatine, you're taking your vitamins, you're maybe at least hitting your protein goals, right? You're doing everything right. But if you don't put that effort into that one specific spot of your calorie intake, then all of that can be, I don't want to say flush down the toilet, of course, because if you're coming to the gym and working out, then that is still always going to be a plus. But if your goal is weight gain or fat loss and you're not actually achieving it, then you're not reaching your goals. The routine that you're doing is not enough. So that's where, sure, you might feel a little bit OCD counting, weighing out like 300 grams of little like fingerling potatoes so that you had 46 grams of carbs when you boil them. But in exchange for actually getting leaner, dude, I think that's the way to do it. And and the reason I feel so strongly about that, and not like, just following different less accurate dieting approaches. I mean, there's how big of an industry is like the dieting book industry, like all the Atkins, all the whatever else. Like, I mean, they've definitely got some value. That's why they're so, hyped up about, apart from the fact that they just, pay a ton in marketing to make people think it works. But the reason that something like that doesn't really interest me so much is because it's not flexible, like if I'm tracking everything, if I'm so let's say, because right now I'm sick of food after these 4 months of actually, reaching a body weight that I've never even been to before, heft wise. I have no inkling of inclination to say it's like, oh man, I want some canes. Like, dude, I'm not fucking itching for any food right now. If I were crazy enough to try like a long-term fast, if for whatever reason I wanted to do that, but now would be the time, because I'm done with chowing down. But let's say a few months pass or a few weeks pass, when I'm in a deficit for long enough, I start to get that itch back. I'm like, oh man, wouldn't mind a caniac right now. Wouldn't mind a spicy chicken right now. So when you count your calories like that, then you can be flexible where, if you want to throw a treat into the mix, as long as you count those values calorically, you're not going to throw yourself off your game at all. Now, it might fluctuate you a little bit because in a dieting phase, it's really not going to be in your best interest to have treats. Real, just basic foods like whole proteins, meats, fish, eggs, dairy, whatever else. And then like, oats, rice, potatoes. And then whatever kind of fats come into play from like, dressings or condiments or some cheese or whatever else. I have the best luck sticking to that basic formula, right? Because all the, there's just nothing that can beat it, because it's actually whole foods. They're going to fill me up. I'm going to feel satiated. Like, there's a reason where when you were a kid and you had to go to a, like a cross-country meet, or if you had to go to a swim meet or whatever else, that your parents wanted you to have some oatmeal in the morning, like a nice kind of slower digesting carbs. You actually feel full and energized throughout the day. Like, dude, it's just better. And I've come to find that out kind of the hard way, especially over this last bulking phase. I mean, leaning towards more just plain whole foods and a bodybuilding approach. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, oh, let's just have whatever else. Like, no, that is definitely the way to do it. And in the dieting phase, the same thing. But if I decide I want to fucking, lean in and appease my sweet tooth, then as long as I count the calories from whatever, like, cheat meal that I have, then I can still hit my 2750 calorie goal for the day, and then I'm not going to wake up 3 pounds heavier. I'm going to wake up the exact same weight, or at least on the exact same track of weight that I was before. So it's almost like there are no cheat meals, because if you track everything and you still stay within your caloric limit, then you're going to be fine. You're not throwing off your progress of fat loss at all. So that's why I like it so much. Plus, it just makes more sense. If you know all the calories that are going in, and you can kind of figure out how many calories are going out based on your activity level, then there's no guesswork involved. Am I losing weight? No, eat less calories. Am I gaining weight on a bulk? No, eat more calories. Or if you reached a point where you can't eat anymore, like it's getting way too hard for you, you've been bulking for months on end, then that's your cue. Okay, trim down, reset, get back to baseline, and see what kind of muscle you just built. So that's my little shtick there. So plan for tonight with legs, which is one muscle group which will have a noticeable change in its approach. Is you can basically, well, I always say this, but I end up doing them anyway, sometimes just because I like them. But I should be saying bye to any heavy backloaded pressing. Like for me to do, and and I say that with a little bit of, there are going to be exceptions, of course. That squatting is not completely gone. But for me to do like an all-out fresh set of like 10 reps to failure with as much weight as I can handle, like 5 plates and change, whatever else, there's just no need. Because right now my goal is not moving that much weight and completely obliterating my fucking quads. My goal is to just stay, the same size, not shrink. So my quads don't need that brutal of an attack from something like crazy squats like that. Leg extensions, some lighter leg press, some sissy squat work, that's going to be perfect for me. So usually I would say you shouldn't change your training up too much dieting to cutting, or dieting to bulking, because all you're doing is trying to stimulate that muscle, and whatever stimulation results, or whatever that stimulation results in, is going to be because of the food that you're eating and the routine that you're doing outside of the gym. That's a big step. I mean, everybody, it's not too hard to just go to the gym reasonably consistently, have a workout and leave. But adding that outside of the gym factor with the food and the sleep and the hydration, that's where you'll start to see more plateaus be broken through. But, with something like chest, still going to do heavier stuff within my strength limit. I mean, I'm going to get weaker. You're not going to see a 4-plate bench, but I'll still do a weight that I can handle for 10 or 12, because there's no need to totally drop the weight. But with something like squats, just because, and when I say squats, I just mean overhead, or like, shoulder mounted pressing. It's just more stressful physically, because now instead of just working my quads, I'm working, I'd say you could argue the squat is a full body movement in a sense. If I got all my weight on my toes, or at least leaning towards my toes, my calves are going to be worked. Your hamstrings and your adductors get worked as stabilizers. Your quads really get worked as primary movers. Same thing with your glutes. You're kind of flexing your back to hold onto the bar, so you're working your biceps a little bit. Your whole forearms are getting squeezed tight because you're holding the bar. Your lower back's getting pretty fucking fatigued. And then, well, probably not much chest work. But it's a lot of muscles being worked all at once just to work my quads. Oh yeah, everybody loves this. The strength to, fatigue to, the stimulus to fatigue ratio, just not in your favor. Now, when I'm bulked up and full of fucking food in an excess calorie surplus, then that excess strength on my whole posterior chain system from the squats, not a big deal. right? Much easier to recover from. But yeah, so quads get a little bit of the gas or the brakes pumped when I diet down. Not in an intensity fashion, but merely in just a amount of weight being moved kind of fashion. Because there's just no need. So, plan for today with legs. Oh, well, we'll see which one I want to start with. So there will be seated curls involved, laying curls involved, maybe some single leg standing curls involved, definitely leg extensions, probably some sissy squats, some machine leg press, and then I'll just see what other goodies get added in between. So let's just get started. There's not much to see, so I can just keep to myself. But before any of this was sitting on the adductor machine where you squeeze your legs together. Usually I've just been saying before I do any kind of hamstring curls, I do some calf activation, because if you think about it, your calf is almost like the forearm of your arm, right? I mean, it basically is. So it comes into play when you do a curl, at least just a touch. So usually I like to do at least a couple body weight sets, like 3 to 10 reps, nothing crazy, not even close to failure, just to get a little more warmed up so that when I sit down, I don't have any behind the knee pain. But I've noticed when I warm my adductors up too, even though it's not like an insanely direct linkage to the hamstring curl, it just feels more stable. And it's honestly probably good to have those warmed up before quads anyway, because pressing, they are going to have a much stronger part to play. Especially squats, but machine leg press too. So I've warmed up here, started with 100 pounds for double leg reps, 150, 180, 210, 230, 250. So the stack is probably getting close to the amount of weight that I would like to use for a basic heavy set. But this is my strength level will let me at least do this as a controlled, slow squeezing set. With hamstrings, I don't mind, and same thing with quads, I guess kind of any muscle. At the end of the lift, I don't mind some quicker kind of pump out, sort of, we'll just pump focus reps. But in the beginning, I've been having a lot more luck, at least in terms of having the set feel really solid and productive, doing some more controlled squeezing instead of just moving the weight around. But let's start with the stack here. As many as possible with partials. I'll probably do a few. Oh. Yeah. No. 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 Oh my God. Whew. Yeah. A few more just like that. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's go do some laying curls now. So those seated sets, very good. As heavy as I could go, real failure, and full extension, full kind of stretch at the top. I've been missing out. If you go back like a year and a half and watch a leg day and see the hamstring curls I was doing, like I was doing heavy weight too, but I would get to like here. This would be like the top of the range of motion. Now actually going all the way up to here to the fully extended position. Dude, I mean, I was just cutting myself short there. But those were really good heavy sets. Now for this one, I want to leverage some more nasty squeezing kind of burning. And partially because I'm weaker. I don't think I could even do a good set with the full stack in this machine after those 3. And half of that's due to the fact that this is just a heavier stack. But lightweight, I mean, I can do this with single leg for a couple reps, but these are going to be same speed, like still slow. But when I get to the top, I want it to be like, look like this. Imagine this is my hamstrings. Like curl, 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 curl. Like exert maximum force, then let it back down, and then just repeat for as many as I can handle. And that's something which I try to implement into a lot of my more squeezing based sort of sets, because there's a massive difference between somebody standing here, both doing like a set of dumbbell curls, and one guy just quicker kind of tempo reps, whatever, and the other guy could be doing a set that looks indistinguishable. But when he gets to the top of the range of motion, he has an extra oomph that he puts into that rep. Now, maybe you might even look at that and think, oh, that guy's weaker because he's not going to do as many reps as the other guy. But the reps that he did do were more intense. So that's where, and also I think I'm just getting smarter as a lifter, but it's almost like the set itself isn't really the big question. You know, it's more so like, what can I bring to it? So with like a heavy set over there, pretty simple, literally just do it until I can't move the weight anymore. But with these reps, it's like I want to make each one maximum effort for that moment that I'm doing a squeeze. And then once I'm towards the end of it, you know, do the partial reps that I can, you know, pump out until I have to rack it. But let's make this shit happen. And actually, after that long talk, I can do one more notch for sure. But still in the category of light. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Ooh. Let me take a moment to the side, but honestly, there might not be a need for one more set of hamstrings. 5 nasty ones could be good. Give me 1 second to think, but I wouldn't be surprised if hamstring, you know, if leg extensions were the next set. The leg extension is going to be making a renaissance because frankly, when I'm dieting down, I'm not sure anything beats it. There's still gonna be leg press, of course, but leg extension's definitely the bread and butter of my dieting phases. Never lose any size, which I mean, I'm not surprised by. And then I'm, well, I guess it's not exactly the same situation for everybody. But when I start bulking up again after just doing like all leg extensions for dieting phases I've done in the past, strength is always still there. So what that tells me is it's definitely doing enough to maintain my quads. But I'm not totally ready for the first working set. Leg extensions take a bit longer for me to get warmed up for, just because I need everything in this area to feel comfortable. Like if I were to just sit here and like try to pump out reps of like 135 or whatever with one leg, like what would be heavy? Dude, I mean, I could move it around and I wouldn't be worried that my quad would tear off or anything, but I would feel it in my knees so much, right? I mean, you got to get this stuff moved around. So same thing with triceps. Before I do any kind of first set of anything, it's always light extensions. A little heavier, a little heavier, a little heavier. And then, okay, I'm about at my working weight now. Now we can begin. But don't get confused. That beginning portion is not a workload. That's just warming up. That does not count
as any actual work. I mean, I know it does a little, but nothing substantial. Nobody would come in and do like warm-up sets, leave, and make any substantial gains. So I'm going to sit here for a couple more, just kind of get everything, well, no better way to say it than warmed up. And then we can cut to working set number 1, which again, weight is not the primary factor. Like, I just need a weight where it's enough where I'll be able to get close to failure, but not so heavy that it fucking hurts me. So I'm gonna keep warming up for probably 5 more minutes, and then we can do set number 1. Single leg. Okay, so before I get my music playing, there is something fancy about this leg extension compared to one of the conventional ones that you probably find at your gym. And this is kind of, I mean, I would assume just kind of a cheaper, simpler design. Not bad, but just like more simple. So it's just this cable, right? But the way that it kind of results in a strength curve is this cable is exerting the most force at the bottom. And the reps actually get lighter as I get up to the top. Like if I had a miniature scale on my shin, I wouldn't be surprised if the tension and like the force that I feel at the bottom is almost 3 times as much as I feel up here at the top, which just adds some variability, man. I mean, a different strength curve can completely change a movement. So something like this is much more strenuous in the, well, to the point where failure will be kind of abrupt, because since the weight gets heavier and heavier and heavier, it's like a squat. You're not going to fail at the top. You're just going to suddenly not be able to lift it again. Whereas the machines over there where the tension is more constant, like I feel the same force through the entire rep. Failure over there will look more like, okay, full rep, a little less, the less, and then I got to call it. So just something to consider. That's another reason why I kind of like even coming here for legs specifically when I'm not doing any crazy squats or anything. They got 2 different styles of leg extensions. So let's get amped up. Left leg first. All right. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. Let's just spam these for a while. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. I actually might take quads a little easier today. I can tell my knees are a little extra tender from those crazy heavy sets of leg press I did last leg day. I knew I was going too fucking heavy, but today will be a good squeezing day. Like if these are my triceps, which, I mean, in a way, they're the lower body of your triceps, right? If you think of the anatomy. But today would be more so squeezing sets with a rope instead of like heavy skull crushers or close grip bench. So I don't mind. Plus, I'm already getting fucking pumped as shit. So let's do a little kind of set I like to coin the Jekyll and Hyde. I think that's a pretty funny way to call it. But it's basically a weight you can handle easily for 10, 12-ish reps. And I don't mean difficult reps. I mean like 1 second hold, down slow. 1 second hold, down slow. So now the first portion of the set is getting that kind of burning, squeezing fatigue. And then, I don't know if I'll do the full stack, but I'll go a bit heavier and finish with burning out kind of faster paced. Not so squeeze focused, but more tension focused reps, right? And then, I mean, what's the science behind it? There's no study that says to do it like this. I just know it feels good on my quads. And by good, I mean burns. So it's, you know, you got to kind of change your definition of good for the lifter. A lot of motionless in white today. Let's just go for the stack. Oh my god, okay. Whew. Holy crap. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh. Whew. Whoa. Oh yeah. Quad's officially cooked. Let's scram.
Legs complete. And as you'll notice, Sam, no leg pump check. That's actually intentional. I want to wait a couple of however many longs before I do the next leg pump check, because I want them to be veiny. I actually kind of want to have like a noticeable little bit of freak factor when it comes to the legs. And frankly, I was kind of skipping some leg pump checks even when I was, fully bulked for the same reason. It's not as crazy looking as everything else. Now, getting closer to 10% body fat, 8% body fat, pumped legs, that's something to see. That's something to take a gander at. I'm talking veins, I'm talking some separation. That'll be cool. But until then, I don't mind not doing a little pose down. And that kind of takes me back a little while to one of the first real kind of bulks that I did once I started really like making the forefront of my activities, the whole bodybuilding side of things. So I did like a full, I think 4-ish, maybe even 5-ish month kind of bulk. Like not insane calorie surplus, but I was gaining weight pretty steadily. No pump checks at all. Like I would take the occasional photo sometimes, but like it would just be roll in, long sleeve shirt, pants, lift. Feel fucking pumped. Leave. And guess what? The first time I actually gave myself a real kind of pump check on an arm day, felt like a total fucking freak. So same thing with the dieting down. It's it's kind of a watching paint dry situation, right? You're never going to notice a detail if you just sit there and stare at it, right? I mean, a watch pot never boils, but that's to say, if you're dieting down right now, there is kind of a mental benefit to just staying covered up for a little while, for at least a couple week periods at a time, because then, as long as you're actually noticing progress weight loss wise on the scale, fat is getting peeled off your frame. So then, once you actually peel the pump cover off and you check it out, you'll be able to say like, holy crap, I am getting a little slimmer. Is that a bicep vein? Holy shit. Like, now that's definitely not for everybody. I mean, it's not like a piece of recommendation that I think everybody should do, but it is kind of fun. If you're going to be locked in for a little bit, it will make the results feel a bit more jarring, right? If Tobey Maguire looked at himself lifting, with a lifting routine every day that he did to get jacked for Spider-Man, and he was like checking himself out in the mirror every day, he's not just going to notice an immediate change. Whereas, in the fucking movie, he just wakes up and he's like, well, I look bigger than I did before. Holy crap, how did that happen? And so just a little more abrupt. So that's kind of going into a almost like into hibernation mode. So, but things like back and arms and chest, I'm not so soft that they don't still look pretty fucking freaky, pumped up, veins and everything. So play now, go home, have some, probably just do a regular kind of bowl of scrambled eggs. I did some soft boiled eggs earlier today. I like doing those. A little tricky though. Sometimes, this is something where I really notice a benefit with some farm fresh eggs. Like my mom will get some where it's actually from just like a family we know where they're actually raising chickens outside. When you boil those, the membrane is much stronger. So when you actually go to peel them, you don't have a problem like accidentally pulling yolk off or anything else. A lot of the regular store-bought like farmed eggs, it's just got a weaker membrane. So when you go to peel it, it's like just kind of turned into a mess. And then you're like breaking the thing apart. It's, just not as fun. So, and then I don't need another, 40 grams of fat from. I don't need another 40 grams of fat from like, 8 whole eggs. But I do want, about 50, 60 grams of protein. So usually what I like to do is have the kitchen stocked with both like egg cartons and, or no, I guess egg, I guess you would call it an egg carton. Well, egg cartons and egg white cartons. So I can do like 2 whole eggs, still get some yolk benefits. I'm talking omega-3s. I'm talking everything else from the fat content and the nutrients. That's going to be a bit more yolk focused. And then, add in more protein just from the egg white tub, the egg white little bottle. So I think that's going to be the plan for the post-workout meal. Maybe slap a slice of American cheese in there, mix it in together. And probably for the next week or two, this dieting phase will almost require zero effort. And why I can say that is because I know I'm fucking. I mean, like I said on the way to the gym today, I'm sick of fucking eating. You know, I've got no itch to fill my fucking belly. So I'm gonna make use of this time, get a good jump start on this deficit, and then, yeah, I think I'll do every week, on the dot. After cardio, I'll do a little check-in where I run through like the exact same poses, so I can have a week to week to week kind of transformation to look back on. No, I don't think there'd be much benefit doing it day by day. It's just too minuscule of a change. But week to week, over the course of what? So 12 weeks. So I've got 12 shots of getting leaner, 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 leaner. That'll be something to see. So I guess the first one was yesterday. I guess that'll make that'll make Sunday the check-in days. So, oh my god. Oh. I can tell I'm running on slightly lower blood sugar than normal because I didn't have like a massive fucking, like 600 grams of carbs so far today like I was before. Plus, having finished quads and hamstrings together, even though it wasn't the most like insanely stressful lift, there was still a good amount of glycogen being burned off. So I am gonna sleep like a baby, and then tomorrow I got a whole little family trip. The Suliks are headed to Vegas. God damn it! They're going to. I'm talking Olympia weekend. You know, we're not gonna set up. It's not gonna be like a like a booth kind of appearance kind of situation. But the Olympia only happens once a year. It'd be a shame if I can miss out on seeing all these freaks in person. So that'll be over the next couple of days. We'll get some extra kind of fancy clips of any kind of craziness that we see over there. So go home, eat, pack up a little bit, and then I'll see you tomorrow.